Welcome to the Audio. I'm your host, Beeflo. This show is being sponsored by our friends Punky's Pizza and Pasta, located at 2600 South Wallace, my personal favorite eatery in the neighborhood. They have the best selections of pizzas and pastas, as well as sandwiches and salads of any spot in Bridgeport. Currently, they have what they are calling the Pizza Happy Hour, Mondays and Tuesdays only, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. You order pizza from Punky's, and you get 50% off. Yes, you heard that correctly. 50% off pizzas ordered Mondays and Tuesdays between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. How in the world can you get 50% off the best pizza in Bridgeport? The Pizza Happy Hour. Hit the website, punkyspizza.com, for all your carry-out or delivery needs, or to cater your next party. And catering's big around the holidays, so get in there. Get that sandwich platter if you could. You can also call 312-842-2100. The Scarlotta family will take care of you. Punky's Pizza and Pasta. This show is also powered by you, loyal 108 supporter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to tickle the undercarriage in the process. Like, comment, turn on notifications, and most definitely super chat, because that's how we get paid. That's how we continue to make the content you know and love. Tonight's guest needs no introduction. He's the host of the 108 podcast and the star of the Sunday Soak, as well as being the bong in this reggae song. Chorizy-E, welcome back to one more time us doing some trades with every team.
The only picture I like more than that picture is the actual Steve Smith one.
I assume that this picture now in your new home is hanging above the mantle. This is just right.
It's just in my phone, but obviously I text it to Chorizy constantly.
Yes, you got to keep her on point there. We're back. We're doing our trades with every team video. We did the AL last Monday. Today we're going to do the National League, and I'm going to start off with a short preamble here. And a long time ago, I was listening to an interview with legendary poker player Phil Ivey, and an interviewer asked a question, paraphrasing: "How would you recommend a player learning the game get better the fastest?" And Phil said something to the effect, also paraphrasing: "Buy into a game much lower stakes than you normally would, and then play every single hand for an hour. Try and figure out how you'd play all these different hands in different situations and positions that you're normally taught not to play." In that spirit, Chorizy, you and I annually do a trade with every team blog for the White Sox to sharpen our skills, to try to understand what's going out there with not only the White Sox team in general and what their needs are, but what the marketplace looks like, what the other teams need, and how these teams can kind of fit together. And so we did the AL last week. We did not break down every trade. We've been selective with these trades and which ones we want to break down. Tonight, we're going to also be selective working on the National League. This is year 6 of us doing this?
I think so.
Year 6.
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, are you ready to give up the gambit yet or no?
No. So honestly, I need to do this every year before we go into free agency and the whole offseason, because I just don't have that great of an understanding of each of the team and their needs, right? Like,
right.
Like when you do this, one of the things you have to look at is who's leaving that team, right? Who's leaving that team for free agency, who's going to arbitration, who's way overpaid on these teams, who's way underpaid, like those types of things. And so like understanding everything that's going on with every team is not something I keep up on during the season, right? Like even to the point where like we go into this beef and like, I know this happens to me. I don't know if this happens to you often, but like, you'll be like, this is a good guy for the Sox to trade for. And then you like look up to see how he did like this year in the minors and stuff. And it's like, oh, he's not on this team anymore. This is like this.
He's been traded off somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
Fangraphs wrote this 4 months ago. And since then he's not on this team anymore. So like, there's no way I could keep up with the transactions at the major league level most of the time, let alone the minor league level. So this is a great way for me to just kind of do a crash course in everything that's happening in the league. And like one of the teams we're going to talk about early on is the Phillies. And it's like, man, if they want to keep their main guys that they are losing to free agency, oh boy, that's already a big payroll. That payroll is going to be monstrous. So like that kind of thing, like I wouldn't even think about, right? Like, you just kind of think like, oh, those guys, they got a lot of money. They're going to get whoever they want. And it's like, well, they might not even keep the guys that they had. So
yeah, absolutely true. And then you also we do each trade in a vacuum. So it's not like we say to ourselves, the White Sox are definitely this type of team right now, and so these are how the trades need to go. We will spray in all different directions with regards to these trades. And so you'll learn a lot, I think, about not only your team, but like you mentioned, Chorizy, about the marketplace as a whole, about the rest of the teams, because during the season, we're balls deep in White Sox. We're balls deep in Sox Twitter. We're balls deep in the community at the ballpark. We just don't absorb enough of the other teams, and we know what's going on, but not enough to do all this stuff. And so it's good, a good refresher at the end here.
It's also good to know, like, when you look at your team, a lot of times you're like, oh man, we should trade this guy, or we should get rid of this guy. And it's like you start to look at the market and you go like, every team's got this guy. We don't
they don't need him.
This is not a special player. We're not going to get anything for this guy, So that's another thing. I mean, I think I forget which team it was. I think it was the Nats. When I was first looking at the Nats, I think it was Luis Garcia, maybe, where I was like, I should trade Luis Garcia to the Sox for Lenyn Sosa and just do the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. Because it's just like no walk rate, has some power, can't really play second base. Like it's just like, beautiful. Yeah.
Let's get to the straight before we get into the trades. It's from Pedro Velasco Jr. He says, hydration for the trade talks. Thank you.
Cheers, Pedro.
Appreciate you. I got the Diet Pepsi because we're still on no food Monday. It's supposed to be meatless Monday. I told Mrs. Beef I'm doing meatless Monday as well by not eating anything. So let's jump to trade number one. So the first couple trades we're going to do are ones that we're personally excited about. And so, Chorizy, I'm going to let you lead off with your Phillies trade aforementioned. I'll put up on the screen and go.
Yeah, so I will say I'm not excited about this in the sense that getting rid of Edgar Carroll makes me excited at all. I really don't want to do that. We've had this conversation on the podcast. I am fine with keeping both of these catchers. I think there's plenty of ways to get them at bats. But when I was looking at the Phillies, it's hard to offer a team something when they're as good as the Phillies.
Yeah, for sure.
With Real Muto going into free agency and the fact that they want to retain Schwarber and Ranger Suarez, like, it's tough to do all three of those guys, right? And Real Muto is the guy that you could see them going, you know what? He's getting older. He's a catcher. We can't move him the first because we've already placed Bryce Harper at first, who makes a glub-jillion dollars.
Right.
It gets difficult to keep him if there's an option to go younger at catcher. And they do have some internal options, but they're not quite there. The guys that, if you look at roster resource, some of the guys there are like, you're not going to really put them in there. So Edgar Carroll makes sense to go to the Phillies. I think it would be a good fit.
They do have a need for sure.
But what I was having trouble with, and I messaged you about this, Beef, and you told me to trade Kyle Teal for their number 2 prospect. But like their top 3 prospects are really good and really close to the majors. I don't see them moving any of those guys. Like Justin Crawford, I don't see them moving him. That would be the guy I'd want, right?
Right. I think their plan is he plays center field next year. Yeah,
he's on a team right now. Like he's penciled in already. Yep. And I'm pretty sure Dombrowski has mentioned him by name as being on the team for next year. So he's not going to be in the trade. And so you start looking down the list a little bit more. And you don't want to go too far down because Edgar Carroll is a very good player. And he's already in the majors. And he's showing that he can hit
top
in the majors.
Prospect for a while too. So it's like he's got the pedigree and he's come up and he's actually performed. So yes, you got all of that.
So the thing that, and this is something that I keep coming back to in all these trades, this, as we're looking at this, and this is something we've talked about extensively, especially in talking about Luis Robert, is that like, there's no center fielders in our minor leagues. There's no one to push Robert out. There's no one, if he gets hurt, that we're going to go to. You saw that they picked up a guy at the end of the year and he's still on the roster that like nobody wanted. The guy was on waivers from like the Marlins or someone. And
Derek Hill.
Derek Hill. And they have him on the roster, right? Like, so we're dying for a center fielder. And so they have 2 kind of bunched in the middle here. And and I couldn't have picked 2 guys more different that are both like Chorizy-E upside guys. So Griffin Burkholder is like, depending on where you see him, 6'1" or 6'2", about 200 pounds. So a lankier but strong kid. They call him Captain America, like in like, because he's like, he could do everything, right? Although he hasn't done everything yet. And
in
then
theory, he can do everything. You're just waiting on it.
And then Devin Saltiban, where you, depending on where you see him, he's 5'9" or 5'10", and he is a tank. He's like a running back.
Yes.
And the thing that came to mind, Beef, when I saw this, especially the way they described Burkholder and the fact that like he hasn't put it together, and then this Saltiban kid who's like swinging out of his shoes to hit home runs.
Yeah.
It just reminded me in the beginning of Moneyball when Billy Bean's talking about him and Lenny Dykstra coming up together.
Yeah.
He's like six inches taller than Lenny Dykstra, and
Toolsy, all that shit
flying past him, you know? And so like that's the kind of thing that I thought about. And so I had to pair them together in this trade. I was like, we'll get one of them will hit.
Yeah, right. Give yourself a couple shots at this thing.
Hopefully we don't get the back end of the Dykstra experience, but the player more
Little
so.
nails.
And so I like the idea of trying to go out and get a center fielder in this trade, and like having two center fielders is a great problem to have.
Oh,
right?
for
Like,
sure.
Both of these guys hit fantastic, but you're increasing your odds of one of them hitting.
Right.
And like if you trade Edgar Carroll, one of these guys has to hit.
Well,
right. And that was the problem I had with your trade last week.
Yeah.
Even though we were getting the top 100 prospect, I'm like,
yeah,
this guy's a glove first baseman, and he's by all accounts a great player, but like that has tons of room for failure. And so like that's why I was concerned.
Hang on. So I wanted to ask this question because you brought it up. I'm gonna ask you this here. You panned my trade with I had Trey Morgan and Joe Rock, great name Joe Rock, for Edgar Carroll. But you realize the differences between our trades here, right? I have a higher rated prospect than one of them.
Way higher rated prospect.
I got a higher rated prospect. Joe Rock's all over the place. It could be just some like him, some don't like him. But however, Chorizy, the other main difference there is the certainty. These guys are at the top of the minors. They're coming. They're going to be here. We're going to see them. When you trade Edgar Carroll for a couple guys in A-ball,
right?
You know how bad the natives are going to be about that shit, right?
This is why I was bringing up your trade.
Yeah,
like yours has a little bit more certainty on that player, but like not as much upside, right? I'm like it could be Mark Grace or it could not, right?
Probably not.
Bad James Loney doesn't sound good, and so this one has like all the upside and a lot of downside, which is why I had to get two guys kind of at the same level and like hope that one pans out.
Yeah.
But you start to look at this, and here's why I like this trade so much, Beef, is that this gives me a good glimpse of like between both of our trades.
Yeah.
What is Edgar Carroll worth on the open market, right?
Right.
And aren't we better off keeping him? Like
it seems like we are.
I just don't think that there's going to be the value out there for him that like is deserved for a player of what he could be, and the fact that he's already contributing, and the fact that catchers don't play every day. Like I keep just coming back to it. Now I like this because it's a fun trade, and I think it's fun to talk about the Billy Bean Lenny Dykstra situation, and this Devin Saltiban kid like is intriguing to me more than anything. Like he came from Hawaii, so like no one had gotten a good look at him like in high school and stuff because he was flying down there to go check that out, right? And so and he hasn't got a good look, so they're like, well, he seems athletic and stuff. Let's try him in the infield. He's never played there, but let's go for it. And then it's like,
why not?
Maybe he could play second base. Maybe he could play center field. He could hit. He's hitting 17 home runs in single A, right? Like so. That's the kind of thing. Like it's a very interesting player, and so when you're doing these trades, it's fun to find guys that you're like, man, this guy's blocked by like 3 to 4 players, and like, man, he would be an instant AA starter for us, right? So those are the kinds of things that are interesting, and why I like doing this whole exercise. But you see, when you do stuff like this, why the Rule 5 draft has to exist. And like why they should make it even, why they should expand it even
more. They block forever. Like, they'll never get out from under this shit. Like
these two guys are behind Dante Nori and Justin Crawford.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so like, I mean, good problem to have over there, Phillies. Good drafting.
For sure.
but at the same time, like I would like some of that.
Last question on this one, Chorizy. Why did you chicken out and not do my idea of Kyle Teal for Aiden Miller? You know the fireworks would have popped up with the Kyle Teal for Aiden Miller. What gave you cold feet? What made you decide I don't want to do that?
I just felt like it was like clickbait.
Okay,
just like it kind of thing was like it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, like Aiden's kind of blocked too, right? Like, I mean, but I think the idea is like
he'll probably go to third.
Alec Bohm's
yeah,
belong for that team. I thought about trading for him because no one has broken up and gotten back together more than Bowman and the Phillies. Like, it feels like
that's true.
It feels like every 5 minutes they're like, "Oh, we gotta get this guy out of here." And then it's like, "This guy might be the best player on our team." It's like,
no,
guys are in a very toxic relationship. But overall, I was like, this kind of makes sense, right? And I think it would be good. But like, I can't imagine in a million years the Sox moving on from Kyle Teal. I think they're just like in love with him. Okay. And I think that like they're also, and I like this guy. I thought he was going to be rookie of the year. I put money on it. I think they're too in love with Colson Montgomery, to be honest, at this point. So I couldn't see this whole trade happening. So I didn't go for it. Not
you
that
didn't feel it in your plums. It's okay.
Not that I could see a lot of these trades happening. But like at the same time,
stuff anyway, Chorizo,
it's just like it didn't intrigue me the way that something like this would, and that it didn't have the, since it was coming from you instead of from me, I didn't get to go through the full thought process on it.
Right.
And like, so I didn't feel like I'd learn.
That's the real reason right there. That's the real reason. All right, let's get to this drink before we get to my first trade. It's from our guy, Nathan Sheba. It says, beef off sounds like Chorizy, or listen to me. Maybe I need another drink. All the above, Nathan. Appreciate you. Thanks for the drink, Nathan. Good to see Nathan Sheba up in the comments. Nathan, I'd love to see you at the ballpark, buddy. Let us know, man. When I got an extra, I'll reach out to you. You got to come hang with us.
You know, I'd love to see Nathan. I'd love to see Nathan at our Sox Fest after party.
Now that's a good spot to see.
Then we can
hang out.
Nice little conversation, have a couple 2-3 cocktails.
There's no question about it. All right, my first trade up is White Sox Cubs, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Chorizy, and I've said this on the internets already. I didn't have a good way of valuing this, so if people want to come and curse me out and they don't think it's a good trade, that's fine. But the trade is the White Sox will send Mike Tauchman, outfielder, and the Cubs know him very well as they non-tendered him after the 2024 season. And Christian Opper, left-handed pitcher in A-ball, had a great year actually, is cruising into the White Sox top 10 prospects. And the White Sox received Kevin Alcantara. Now, Alcantara is an interesting case because he was a top 100 prospect, basically consensus top 100 prospect at the end of the 2024 season. But what happened is that he just had kind of like a mediocre 2025 season. And now he's a 23-year-old, and he's had a bunch of plate appearances at AAA. He's out of options, Chorizy. And so the Cubs are in a weird spot where this is a good prospect. They can't afford to just throw the guy on the bench. He needs more development time, very obviously. Guy's got long limbs, 6'6", can play some center field, but he's not really usable for them when they're in the mid. Like, they were a game away from going to the NLCS. So what they need are options that they can use effectively off the bench. Their outfield is pretty crowded to begin with here. I mean, they go and pay for someone big, Kyle Tucker rolling off here. But I doubt that they would be willing to give Alcantara everyday reps that he probably needs. And so he feels like the most likely guy to be traded off of any team in this offseason. And so for the White Sox, they can't afford to give the time and space, and he can go into and play center field and hit 150 for 3 months, and we can deal with it. It's fine because you got sort of this young team that you're trying to bring people along with. My only concern here, though, is I don't know how the fuck to value this because the guy was a top 100 prospect, let's say he's in the top 200 prospects overall, something like that. But he's also on options, so you're forced. But also everyone else can bid on this shit too. However, not everyone else has the team makeup where they can afford to use him. Only the bottom teams can kind of do it, and what they really trade off prospects. And so that's kind of where I was at with this one, but it feels like such an obvious, like, this is the kind of upside shot the White Sox need to be taking at time and place in 2026 with the team. What do you think about this trade, Trees?
I mean, I like the idea of taking advantage of the fact that he's in a situation where he can't really go anywhere, right? Like he can't stay in the minors. They don't seem to have playing time for him. If I look at the Cubs roster, right? Do I see them going? We will put Seiya in the outfield on days that we're facing a lefty, maybe, and deal with it, and then kind of use Tauchman as a platoon. I could see Tauchman as a usable player in that scenario. I think part of it is that I like about it is like Tauchman to me seems like a guy who wants to be in Chicago. Like it seems like he's like I could see him like after his career, like coaching one of the coaching in one of the minor league teams that's in the area. I feel like he wants to retire in Chicago and stuff. So this would be doing good by Tauchman, which I like. Right. And I saw was it Gonzo who went crazy on you about trading a floor?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Opper, like opportunity. Okay. Opper, yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was more like pair, but yeah, I mean, like if he's going nuts about it, it tells me that he's overvalued in the market, and that's a good idea. Like that's something you can get something for.
Well, I mean, I'm going to pull up some comments in a second, but when I was thinking through that trade, I thought of the exact comment. I think it was your Rangers trade where you traded Sam Antonacci, but then you also traded George Wilco, and Sean Anderson replied to you, "Don't trade Wilco. He's at his lowest value, but Antonacci, fire away." And I started thinking of trade the guys that are bumped up, because we talked about it with Tanner McDougal too. When you get a guy to pop a little bit, that's the time to trade that guy. You get the most value from those guys in. So I was like, okay, we're going to use that premise here. I had many iterations of this trade too, Chorizy. I had Davis Martin in here as the main piece and kind of like a smaller piece, saying like, the Cubs could use a little, because they could use some kind of like depth starters. I don't know if Imanaga is going to stay. I assume he's going to stay and get the $22 million. Who knows? President in the comments, he says the Jaguar gets no playing time when he's been up. We'd be very happy to see him go somewhere that actually give him a chance. And that's Alcantara he's talking about. And then he also says, iffy on Tauchman is an everyday player, but wouldn't hate it. Yeah, I didn't assume Tauchman would be the right fielder. I just assumed you're grabbing a useful player for today, could be a bench player, and then a prospect that's lower ranked than that current prospect, but you have time pressure. Nothing you could do. This is the best offer you're going to get, kind of thought process was my thinking there with that. Alex Rude in the comments says trading Opera might give the future Sox crew heart attacks. Yeah, we didn't do enough of that in this thing, in my opinion. But yes, it probably would, because I know they're a big fan. So
I tried with the Wilco thing. That was part of the Wilco thing. It wasn't even
Antonacci's the big one.
Antonacci,
you fired him immediately. I was like, okay, good. This is good. We're going down a good path with this thing. So that's my Cubs trade. Chorizy, you are back up with the Marlins, my friend. Your favorite trade, you told me.
Oh man, I love this trade. So one of the things, and we talked about this with Caro, and we'll talk about it more later, is like there are guys on a team where I'm like, you can't get enough value to trade the guy. He's worth more on your team than he is elsewhere. And Lenine Sosa was falling into that camp for me, Beef, until I came upon Jansen Junk.
What a name, too, Jansen.
The name on it's like, why I clicked. Like I saw Jansen Junk and I was like, I'm at least reading about this motherfucker. This is a great baseball name, and he's a pitcher on top of it. And I saw his baseball savant, and I said, we need this man. This is one of the wilder baseball savant percentile rankings I've seen.
Holy shit.
He's in the 99th percentile of walks. So as I'm reading about this guy, I was unaware of the Kirby index. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Beef, on Fangraphs. It's basically like a control index named after George Kirby. And
love it.
And this guy is like all the guys that like Gossman's way up there and guys like that. And there's like all these names that you would know. And then Jansen Junk just jumbled in there. And it's just because of this. It's just he throws the ball exactly where he wants it, apparently.
Okay.
Now, there's a downside to this. So he's got a very low whip beef, but when they hit the ball, it explodes.
I feel that here, yeah.
I feel like in the exit velo, there's like his max. I don't have it on here, but his max exit velo this year was like 119. It's like,
I was going to say,
like he had to have thrown it. That had to be O'Neal Cruz, right? Like it's like, who else is hitting the ball that hard?
Who can hit it as hard as possible? Yeah, third percentile for average exit velo, 6th percentile for hard hit rate. It seems a little rough, Chorizy. A little rough here. I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw this trade, I instantly, like when I read through the everything in there, I instantly loved it because I thought to myself, I don't think the White Sox can do better, like possibly do better in a Lenyn Sosa trade than going for the control guy that Banny might be able to just tweak a little bit and turn into a 4th start. So
this is why I like it so much is like we give, I think Sox fans in general give Banny a lot of credit.
Yep.
I think I'm on like the low end of giving Banny credit.
Yes.
And I think that this is a great test because you talk to anyone who works with pitchers, you talk with anyone who works with quarterbacks. And the one thing that they'll say is that like the toughest thing to teach, the thing you can't teach is accuracy. Right? And like, so if you have a insanely accurate pitcher, building anything on top of that should be enough to make this guy a starter. And he's been stuck as a long man with the Marlins. Right? They have good pitching in general.
They develop pitching, yeah.
But it's not a team where I'm like, oh shit, what how is this guy not cracking into the rotation? And he's got a bunch of starts there, but it's one of those things where it's like you get this kind of guy in, and this really tests, how good is this pitching, the pitching coaching, the pitching system,
the program,
to bring along a guy who has such great control, and you just got to give him that little extra thing. So that's one of the reasons I really like this. Also, I think it's a lot of value for Lenyn Sosa, and God, the Marlins need some power. Like, not that the Sox don't.
I would say the Sox do too.
The Sox hit like 15 more home runs than the Marlins this year, which is like, how little the Sox hit home runs.
Yeah.
And still 15 more. And it was like, okay, they're in bad shape. They would have went to the playoffs if they had Lenyn Sosa.
Yeah, right. They had the run good year. They almost got lucky there. Yeah, if the White Sox could convert a trade for Lenyn Sosa like this, I would flip over my thought process, Chorizy, that Lenyn Sosa is more valuable for us than he is out there. Like this in the marketplace is the type of thing that you could see happening. The exact type of guy that you would think, okay, our team can get more out of this guy than the other team that's missing using him maybe potentially right now. And the White Sox got, last I checked, at least 3 spots open in their rotation. We got a lot of stuff to burn right now and see what's going on. So I love this trade. It might be my favorite. We did Lenyn Sosa a bunch of times, and I think purposefully because he's the most obvious guy to trade, and we wanted to stretch in a bunch of different directions. To me, if they do something like this, I'll be thrilled. I'll be really pleased with this.
I think the only thing that burns you here is if they want to trade Sandy. So if they're trying to trade Sandy this year, then Jansen kind of like by default gets moved up into the rotation, and that's probably a problem for this. But hey, it's worth looking at. He's also out of options, just like Lenny.
Perfect. Yeah, can't be sent to the Mariners. I love that. All right, next up, I'm doing my Dodgers trade, and there's a beautiful picture of us, the 108ers, with Grant Taylor from our bobblehead night. Chorizy just had thrown out the first pitch. And yes, of course, I'm trading Grant Taylor, right-handed pitcher, and I'm sending him to the Dodgers for Eduardo Quintero. Now, Chorizy, I have long been on the White Sox should trade Grant Taylor train. I was on it at the deadline when I thought the White Sox could probably cash in. At that point, Taylor had just sort of been some promise and some stuff. Then after the trade deadline, he wasn't very good for a stretch, got hurt. And then right after that night, Chorizy, you threw a ball through his wickets.
I was teaching him how to throw a sinker, and I think it rubbed off. I think it rubbed off.
You 5-holed him, okay? And you healed his loins, and he was fucking lights out after that, okay? So he looked exactly like you'd expect Grant Taylor to look. And I think that the natural path for the White Sox with Grant Taylor is to end up trading him. We heard all the stuff from Manny about Grant Taylor, just like sizing up the risk profile, sizing up the injury profile, sizing up the level of endurance, the build, all this stuff, the biomechanics. I think eventually they're priming him for trade. And but I think of him in a way where you can only get the maximum value for a Grant Taylor from certain teams. The teams that could use him in the bullpen, but then can also, if they want to transition him to starter, they could deal with all the shit in and around this, where if it takes a while, if he only can throw 3 innings, all this other bullshit. The Dodgers build a pitching staff of 60 guys. Only 11 of them are off the IL at any one fucking time. But they're able to shuffle these motherfuckers in and out. And they go for these types of guys. They have Tyler Glasnow, who he's compared to, right? And Tyler Glasnow came out of the bullpen, looked great in the playoffs this year. So I see the Dodgers as like the type of team that would be a perfect fit for the situation. I was going to get one of their more kind of further up the, DePaula or one of those guys further up the chain. But I think right now what we saw with the Dodgers is they look old in the playoffs, Treasy. So I think they're going to start promoting those guys. And so Quintero's a little younger than them. He's a converted catcher. There's a ton of speed. There's a ton of power. It's good defense in center field right now. Still a little bit of a volatile profile, but he's a 50 on Fangraphs, looking like he's a real guy here. That's kind of the level of risk I'd be willing to take, because I think you can get a legitimate player for Grant Taylor, a legitimate prospect player for Grant Taylor. What do you think?
So it's interesting to me to think about a guy that in the Dodgers system where he could catch, and they were like, let's get you out of here. You're too athletic. You hit too well. We need you to be a different position. So I like that. I like that about it. I'm all over trading Grant Taylor. And here's why, Beef. When Grant Taylor hurt his groin, we were at the game.
Yep.
And we all thought in the stands that was an arm injury.
We did, correct.
That was an arm injury.
Yep.
And you realize that all of us up there were just going, should have traded him. Should have traded him. And like, I think that, I don't like to throw injury prone on guys.
Right.
But the way that
young in his career,
the way that they're treating him, like that's obviously a worry. Like that's the way Banny talked about it. And maybe Banny was bullshitting, right? Like just to, hey, we, between us and his agent, we decided we're going to get him to the pros as quickly as possible. And this is the path.
You don't turn a guy from a developing AA starter into 3 weeks later, oh, he's in the major league bullpen. What the fuck is that? There's got to be a real reason for that shit.
It's weird, right? Like, so it's either a money thing or it's we're worried about this guy injury wise. And like, we can't have him as a starter. That's too much for him.
Yeah.
And like, that concerns me, man. Like, I have a lot of injury concern with Grant Taylor, and maybe that's unfounded, but like the fact that it was brought up by the organization makes me think about it.
For sure.
Organizations don't typically say stuff like that. So like it concerns me. Maybe it was just they misspoke or whatever, but man, it's been in my head ever since it happened. And so I like Grant Taylor. I like watching him play. I like when we have him in the bullpen, because I don't really like our bullpen at all. And so seeing him come out of it, I was always like, all right, we're in this one. We're
one of our few guys that I trust.
But I also know that this team is looking at 2028, right?
Yeah.
2027, maybe, if there's a season.
Yep.
So I don't know. It makes sense.
All right. Next up are the trades that when we put the stuff out on the socials, caught a little buzz. Chorizy, you're going to go first, and it is with your Giants trade.
I'll tell you exactly why this got some buzz, Beef.
Why is that?
It's like Jeff Johnson running for Congress. It's the name you know. So like, look, Luis Matos and I mentioned Marco Luciano in this as well. Like those guys were supposed to be guys for the Giants, right. And it just hasn't happened. But Matos, he could be on waivers at some point this year, right? Like if they make a free agent signing, he might be an odd man out pretty rapidly,
right?
And there's still upside there, man. I myself am not ready to give up on him. So I was like, what could we get? What could we send over? And like, you don't want to go too high up in the bullpen,
right?
To do this because
they got some pressure on them.
This guy could be on waivers soon, right?
Yeah, so like, they're pressured here. Yeah,
we'll just have one Matos, please. You know, like that's it. But I think you give enough so it makes the decision easy. And the fact that Buster Posey was out there saying we're going to focus on pitching, first our staff, and then the same goes with the bullpen. That kind of thing makes me think they want to shore it up. They want to try and fix these things.
Yep.
And Isert kind of fits that. Like his season wasn't great, but I think we all thought he looked pretty good. The metrics loved him. We thought he looked good out there. I was confident each time he went out there, even if the results didn't back it up every time.
Right.
I was never as nervous about him as I was about maybe a Jordan Leisure. It looked different, right? Even though the outcomes are generally in line with each other, I would even say Leisure had better outcomes, and
he did, especially down the stretch. It was good. Yeah.
But Isert, I think everybody would agree, is like that's a guy that you can put into the leverage, and that's valuable, right? Especially being a lefty. I think there's some value there, and I think that's the kind of guy the Giants would be like, okay, we'll bring this guy in, and we'll give you a guy that we were considering cutting. You know, so to me, it makes sense, and I think like there's upside for both teams for sure. The Sox need outfielders bad, man. It's the outfield is a barren wasteland, man. I mean, once you get past,
you had to give Luis $20 million because there's no one there.
I'm not going to say when Luis has to miss some games, well, that outfield is gross, man.
Yes, it is.
I couldn't trade Benintendi enough just to so that a different warm body is out there.
Now, Chorizy, this trade is interesting because it's the exact type of trade that we haven't seen in the 2 seasons of the Chris Getz GM regime. He never was able to offload the relievers and get you someone that's kind of like decent, that maybe you could turn into a regular or at least a part-time player on this team. He kind of missed that the last 2 windows. Instead, you're having to like cut Tim Hill or you're having to add players with Michael Kopech to get a real return on something. It's kind of like they didn't have position themselves with the bullpen in a way where they're able to flip out of these assets and get something. This would be like a lesser version of this, obviously, because there's the pressure of a person who's out of options potentially need to be cut. But regardless, it's going to work. It works kind of the same way. You get a shot at something, and they haven't been able to leverage the bullpen that way, which has been embarrassing in my personal opinion.
I would love to see this. I mean, like, or if it does happen where he gets put on waivers, I would love the Sox claim him. I want to see it. Like,
give it a shot.
Yeah.
All right, my trade that was getting some action out on the socials. And Chorizy, let me just tell you what socials it was getting a little bunch of action on. It was actually fucking Instagram. So sometimes I will clip little portions of a blog, especially if there's a visual in it that can kind of grab your eye or whatever, and I'll throw those on Instagram. And just to see, and I'll put a title of something like, because you can't put the actual blog post there.
Right.
But I'll put a title of, check out what's going on from the 108, blah, blah, blah. This one got a bunch of fucking responses from people. Yeah, you got to do this trade. No, this would really show you the White Sox are trying to do something. And this was the tenor I took, Chorizy, is like, if the White Sox are trying to move this thing forward, if they think what they've got at the end of 2025 is enough to start shoving in the direction of we should be in a wild card chase, then this is the type of trade that you might want to make. And this is with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm sending Billy Carlson, shortstop, who was the number 1 pick for the White Sox last year, 10th overall. I'm sending Javier Magallon, who Chorizy. I mean, this is the type of guy we would love. They say he's 5'8". There's no way he's 5'8". He's way shorter than that. He's got a shit ton of power. He swings from the heels. His strikeout rate was super high 2 years ago. He's curtailed it a little bit now, so it's just like regular high strikeout rate. He's probably second base only. He's he's part of the second base logjam I was telling you about, Chorizy, but he's way, way far away. He's like low A ball.
What's his build like, Beef? Is he Maurice Jones-Drew at second base?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, he's a thick guy. He's a little thicker, but man, does he hit the ball fucking hard. And then the last person in this trade is someone we've long forgotten about, but that I just thought like some other organization could resurrect his career, and that's Wilfred Veras. Wilfred Veras had a nice second half of his 2024 season at AA. Now, mind you, it was his 3rd season at AA. And then last year just kind of fell off the map. Just wasn't anything. He hasn't been able to limit the strikeouts enough or get to enough of the power when he's limiting the strikeouts to really make it happen. He's kind of fell off the top 30 White Sox prospect list, but he's still a guy with pop. And I think he's only, let me just double check this, because I think he's only 23 years old. He's 22 still. He's 22 years old. It feels like he's 50, but the guy's only 22 years old. So I'm trading these 3 guys to the Pirates for O'Neal Cruz. Chorizy, O'Neal Cruz, he had he had the year where he gets brought up and he's looking pretty good. He had the year where it's a breakout year. He had the injury year. He had a shitty year last year in 2025. He went from being a shortstop, not really terrible one, to being a pretty good center fielder, like for all intents and purposes, range and arm and everything is nice in center field. The other thing about O'Neal Cruz, Chorizy, is he's getting to the arbitration years. And Bob Nutting, he don't like when his players get older. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio with dating. He don't want them players to get too much older because they're going to start costing money. So he's got to get him the fuck out of here. And so I looked at this as like, this seems like a lot to give up for a guy that was worth like less than a win last year, less than 1 WAR. But you know what the upside is here also. And so you're not just getting the guy for nothing. Like you're not going to just roll up here and like give some bottom rank prospect. So I had to give a real prospect and then some interesting guys along with here. And to me, this is like the angle of a trade where if the White Sox did this, you would immediately say they're serious about the group that they're trotting out there right now. They're adding a legit major league player. Yes, he has warts, but they want to try to get some shit done in the short term. And we haven't seen that yet. And I just wanted to run it out there and see what it actually would look like. So, Chorizy, what do you think?
I generally really like this, but there's one huge caveat to this that I want to bring up. I don't want you to think too hard about it because it'll make you upset.
Yeah.
But if Luis Robert and O'Neal Cruz are in the same outfield,
don't do this.
They will kill each other.
The high-speed collision.
They will run into each other face to face. We'll be looking at both of them like Johnny Knox after that. Just let me know that he's alive. Like that's how it's going to be.
Right. We're not saving any careers, just
because they're both running 30 miles per hour at each other. It's like two cars hitting each other, and you know it's going to happen. So, like, I mean, I would be on board with this if you told me that Dom Fletcher is going to be on the team and he's going to play center field, and we're going to put these guys in the corners so that they can't run at each other. They can. One of them could murder Dom Fletcher, and bless up. Sorry, Dom. Sorry about that. You were just a kid, just a fucking kid. But I can't have them next to each other. I just can't.
Crazy. Fuck that. You don't even need a Dom Fletcher in center field. Gap these motherfuckers, and we'll have a short center. We'll have the best defensive baseball, man. That's how you do that shit right there.
Sign Kyle Schwarber and put him at short center.
Grass says, imagine those two with Eloy. No. You're right. Eloy dies instantly. That for sure. That's for sure. I don't want to
get drawn and quartered in that situation, man. That's just terrible.
Press does ask a question. He says, would they want Carlson with Connor Griffin about to debut in 2026? He says, man, it's the Pirates. They'll find a spot for him.
You mentioned that in the blog.
I do mention in the blog. It looks like from everything I'm reading that they're even though Griffin's been splitting his time between short and center, that they're leaning more towards he's more of a natural center fielder. And so and also since it's a slightly easier position, they might do that just so like allow the bat to continue to mature and let it, realize all of this, So I put that in the blog, and I think that's why they would consider doing something like this, especially with Carlson being considered like a 70, even though he was only 19 years old. So like the defense is like 100% going to be there. So that was kind of like some of the impetus behind that. But
I do want to throw one thing out to our friends who are like the prospect hounds, because Billy Carlson's in here, right? Like, so I think they're going to be upset about that. If our friends, we love you. Guys at Future Sox, other guys who are big prospect hounds. You make a call on this trade before you know if we get 1-1. All right? You can't wait for the lottery. You got to tell me right now. You got to tell me right now. Make the snap call before you know that.
Absolutely. Trey in the comments says McRib is back tomorrow. Is beef ready? I already had 3 McRibs yesterday. I in Chicago, McRib been back for a little bit. I feasted yesterday. So chorizo. Now we're getting on to the WTF were you thinking trades. And so I'm gonna go first to you. And I don't even know, this is not even a what the fuck. I kind of like this trade actually. The thought process behind it, all of it is pretty interesting to me. And this is your trade with the Arizona Diamondbacks, where you send Jordan Leisure and Jairo Iriarte to the Diamondbacks and receive back Drew Jones. That's correct. Andrew Jones' son coming back in this trade. My question for you, Chorizy, is when you trade for a name prospect like this, this is definitely a name. I know he was drafted number 2 overall, but it's a name prospect when you have the pedigree and all this stuff. Are you always going to overpay based on the name recognition just because that's how the markets go for these guys? Is this like the Thomas Jefferson Johnson of trades? I can't believe you used it earlier in the show, you bastard.
We're going to use a choice. We're going to use a choice. I think so, right? Like, I will tell you, and everybody listening, obviously, I will tell you what was going through my mind as I was trying to work this trade out, like, and try and go, and what I was going back and forth between. So Jairo Iriarte was going to be in it no matter what. I'm trying to free my boy Jairo, man. They hate him. The Sox hate his guts. I think he could be a good reliever. Let the poor man pitch in the majors. God damn it.
Exactly.
But for the main piece of it, like the big thing that you see when you look at the Diamondbacks and what cost them a playoff spot, to just be totally transparent about this, and they know it, is the bullpen. That bullpen was terrible.
Yep.
Just awful. You look at every metric that you could look at, and they were bad at it, right? And like, I get they're at altitude and these things, but like the amount of blown saves is wild for the amount of innings they pitch. They were actively trying to not put that bullpen in, and that bullpen was still screwing them on the daily, right? So they have to add in the bullpen. Now, a guy that I thought would be great for the Diamondbacks, but is coming off injury, is Prelander Baroa. And that's who I initially had in here.
Okay.
And I was like, even though Drew Jones is sailing down their prospect chart,
absolutely,
they're not going to give him up for that.
Right.
And so you have to go look at like what else do the Sox have? I don't think that Grant Taylor is right for this trade. Like, he's too much.
He's too much. I would agree 100%. Yeah.
And so I tried to land in between there, and it's Jordan Leisure to me. And Jordan Leisure, I think I'm probably one of the low men on him because of the home run problem.
Yeah.
Which persisted. Like, I mean, like, I think he had a good second half. People think he had a great second half. But the home run problem is a problem for me, especially when you're a reliever. I mean,
Liam Hendricks is like that too.
I know, and
give him home runs, like
it was a problem. And like I think Liam was a great guy, so I think only guys like Ken W.O. were really like focused on something like that. But it was there. It was a problem, and like, and it'll be it's seemingly going to be there for Jordan unless he figures something else out. I would love him to figure it out because I don't think the Sox are going to trade him. And like, Fangraphs got him as our damn closer right now because Grant Taylor's in the rotation. Which I think
he's the closer, even if Grant Taylor's not in the rotation.
It might be the case.
Down the end of the year, he was dominant enough where I think he's the closer.
The way that they use their bullpen, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
But Drew Jones to me is super interesting because, again, we keep talking about the Sox and their lack of outfield.
Yep.
Drew Jones is way higher than where he in the prospect ranks for the Sox than he is for the Diamondbacks.
Sure. Yeah,
because the defense is not a problem. The arm is huge. The range is great. Yep. He's fast. He does everything right in center field. Like that is not a problem. It's the hitting. He hasn't figured it out at the plate.
Right. And he's not getting to any of the power. That's like kind of the not getting to any of the power, and he doesn't swing enough.
He's patient, but overly patient.
Overly patient, exactly.
And like with this guy Beef, I was thinking I thought of the Eddie Murphy when he's talking about Michael Jackson about like what if Michael Jackson just went to the club and was like, I want to jump your bones, and 9 times out of 10 I get slapped in the face, but that 10th time it's magic. And this is that.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you get a really good defensive center fielder. And man, I remember Andrew Jones as a young player,
right?
And his defense in center field. Man, if it's a portion of that, oh my God, right?
This is the name recognition thing. That's what it is, you know. Like,
but if the hitting comes with it, holy shit! I mean, that's something incredible. And you'll be like, Jordan, who? Jordan, who did we trade for that? So it's a huge gamble. It's a huge gamble, but it's one that I love. And like I mean, I have no problem trading a guy who's going to be a closer on a very bad team to try and make this happen. So this one, Beef, I could see something like this happen. I could see Drew Jones getting traded in the offseason for a high leverage reliever.
Okay.
Like I could see it happening.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't mind it. I like conceptually, I really like the idea. It did though jar in my head, Chorizy. On White Sox the Players Weekend when they had the 05 team back, we were up in the 400 level. We had gotten some stuff and go up there, we're getting autographs or whatever. We went inside to get a beer. We ran into Ozzie Jr. And every time you run into Ozzie Jr., we talk, we chat up some shit. And he brought up Drew Jones, and he's like, Drew Jones is the perfect storm to get drafted number 2. He's got the family name. He's a terrific athlete. He said they got him. He goes, he didn't play against the best competition in high school, but they got him in the right showcases so that he could show off his power and all this stuff. Boom, number 2 pick. He goes, shouldn't have been the number 2 pick, and then you kind of see it now. Hindsight's 2020, of course, but it was interesting to think of how do you get yourself in the best position for the draft? I never think about this shit. I was like, it was interesting to hear that commentary from him. So it came right to my fucking head when this trade popped up. So love it.
I will say I want to say a comment in here. If you want to, I'll pull it up. It up. It's from Jeff, who I love Jeff. He got the Jeff Johnson reference earlier. So
he did. Yes.
But he says, I remember washed Andrew Jones. And that's I'm assuming the Andrew Jones with the Sox. But dude, he still hit almost 20 home runs.
It's still pretty good. Games. Yeah.
So even washed Andrew Jones would be great on the team that we're gonna have right now.
Yes. You take that tomorrow. Let's get to these 2 drinks real quick. Hasty Tacos says, Viva Aju. Happy stout weather, fellas. It's funny you mentioned that, tacos. I was actually, when I was driving home today, I was like, I need to get some stouts in this house. I need to get some stouts in my fridge down here and start stouting it up on the weekends, right? Because it's such good weather for it. Thank you.
Beef, maybe we have a big stout weekend this weekend.
You want to stout it up, and I'll get the fire pit going too.
I like this. I like this.
And then Pedro Velasco Jr. says, trades are temporary, but Wu-Tang is forever. Agree 1,000%. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate you. All right, the last trade we're going to go over is Chorizy's WTF for me. And that is my Padres trade. So, Chorizy, the floor is yours.
So, Beef, similarly, I don't hate this trade, right? But this is, as we've gone through this process, I feel that Davis Martin is the guy that we should not trade because we cannot get the value for Davis Martin that he's going to bring to this team. And I say that because this team is completely devoid of starting pitching.
Yep.
It is. The outfield's a barren wasteland. This is Mad Max, our pitching staff right now, right? You've got Shane Smith, and if you got rid of Davis Martin, you'd have Shane Smith and silence.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't disagree with you, and that did make this a little bit tough to do. So go ahead.
And so even though I like the idea of what you've got going on here, where it's just like big gambles, like total gambles, like projectable guys. I hate the word projectable so much. I hate it. I think synergy is the only worse word than projectable.
These are just really young guys that are just signed in the international market. Let me go that way.
Exactly. And so I like it from that standpoint. We should be gathering up guys like that. But it pisses me off, Beef, not because of what you did here. It pisses me off because the Sox should just be gathering up guys in the international market. They shouldn't have to trade their second starter for this. Even though Davis Martin is probably a 4 or 5 on most teams. He's our number 2. All right.
Our number 2, yes.
And our number 1, we got in the Rule 5 last year. So like that's just pure luck. And so yeah, I don't like this trade, not because of the actual trade, but because I just don't see a way to trade Davis Martin without us enduring another 110 plus loss season.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It was a matter of looking at the Padres and what could they really use, and then trying to fit from that perspective. They are devoid of starting pitching as well. They've got a ton of injuries, and they're not opening up the pocketbook like they used to. Before the primary owner passed away, they would spend because they're getting 3 million people in attendance and everything. That's the faucet's been turned back off there. And so they're going to look for cheaper ways to get starting pitching. And yeah, the White Sox need to fill in that layer of their prospect bed, Chorizy. But like you mentioned, how about, is it David Keller's the new guy who's kind of in charge of that? How about we just put the money out there and get a bunch of these high 6-figure, low 7-figure guys in here and spend the whole pool and really get down and because that's the part they're missing. That's the part why I think to myself, these motherfuckers better get the number 1 pick. Because really, they're starving down here. They don't got enough. You graduate a few guys and you got the 23rd ranked farm system. Where the fuck we got now?
Man, I get so mad thinking back to, and we got a drink because I'm going to mention a blog you wrote. But when the Sox and the Padres were both in the penalty box for international, you wrote a blog about like how they were each treating it, and the Sox were like getting like 1 or 2 guys, and then trading away like international funds, and the Padres just like got all these guys at like the $300,000 level.
Yep.
They traded a bunch of those guys.
Correct. Yep.
And it's like, why couldn't the Sox just do that? Why couldn't they just do that? And that's why this kind of trade, Beef, it upsets me, not in the sense that you made this trade. It's just like, we should just have a bunch of these guys.
We shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't be playing right into their fucking hands. That's exactly what they do. Alex Root says, we already spent $5 million on 12-year-olds. That looks 17. Keller's got it. I think it's going in the right direction, Alex. When they said they're going to spend $5 million on that kid, I was like, you and I were like, yes. And everyone else was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, don't worry.
That's how it works.
Procedure, okay? Let's just chill out. Let's be good.
But right, God damn it, when you get here, if you throw a couple balls to send a little bit of money back,
you'll be fucked up. That's right. Oh, it was the legal gambling that caused that. The option that never ever happened.
It never happened before.
Sure. All right. Last thing I want to close up with here, Chorizy, is lessons learned from this exercise this year. We've done this 6 years now. Lay it on me. What's a lesson that you learned with this year?
So this year, here's something, Beef, that I was thinking about as I did this, and we're looking at the teams. We're looking closely at the teams.
Yep.
This is more of a gambling thing again, but I'm going to have a very close eye on the Braves' futures as they come out this year, because I didn't realize just how decimated that pitching staff got. Yeah. I wasn't really paying attention to the Braves, but the Braves have a bunch of good pitchers. They all died this year.
Right. Yes.
I think they like looking through this. It's like 6 guys that spent 6 weeks on the IL at least.
That's incredible.
Right. That's an entire pitching staff plus a guy.
Right.
Right. And so I'm very interested in what the lines look like when they come out on that team. So that's one thing. The second thing that I learned is that the Sox team as it stands right now is very bad. Like it's a more dire situation than I thought, and for 2 reasons. One is, and we've talked about this all throughout this. The starting pitching doesn't exist,
right,
and the outfield is incredibly bad. And the outfield is incredibly injury prone too.
Yep.
And so
all 3 guys that you're projecting to start in the outfield, I would not project any of them to play 130.
More than 100. Oh yeah. My God, that's high end.
Benny could make it. I think he get hurt for a month, but he'll be around a little longer. But
Benny can make it, but like the more you run Benny out there, the worse it gets.
That's true.
So he's out there like me, man. Like I'm huffing and puffing two times up and down the stairs. That's the Benny we got right now. So he could hit a ton of home runs in Cincinnati though, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the 2 big takeaways that I had from this. And like I get a little bit more of why Chris Getz would be like, I want to sign a bunch of 1-year contracts. You should never say that out loud. I talked about that on a podcast this week. It shouldn't come out of your mouth, but I get why you might be thinking it.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this team, you've got a lot of young guys, you've got a lot of guys that you're trying to develop, and guys that are supposed to be the next little wave of things, and you want to fill in the spots, right? You want to fill in the spots, especially pitchers. Is that's where I think he's talking about it more than anything,
right?
Because he does believe in Noah Schultz, he does believe in Hagen Smith, and for better or worse, he does those things. But like, you're not going to sign guys for 3-4 years in the pitching staff
because you want to see what shakes out for all these guys. Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
And so I get kind of that there, but like, it's just rough, man. We're like, I don't feel better after doing this.
So you've come back to where I'm at, where you're like, this team is worse than a lot of people think it is, despite what they saw in the second half. And now I don't know that you're in the same place as me, where emotionally, I don't care if they spend a lot this offseason. A lot of people are heartbroken about it. I still think they're so far away at this point where you could go out there and give a bunch of multi-year contracts and you win 72 games. I mean, like, it legitimately feels like that right now. You're going to need to see these young guys take some steps. You're going to need to figure out who belongs where. I don't know where Miguel Vargas belongs. I don't know what spot he belongs in, or maybe if he belongs at all. Like, there's a lot of that on this roster, and I couldn't. I'm glad you're coming over to my side.
Let me ask you a question there. So and I'm sorry, I know you try to keep this to an hour, but fuck you, we're going over. I already bet on the game tonight. I don't need to wait.
Okay, good.
So Miguel Vargas, to me, is, out of all the things that we looked at in this, my favorite trade asset, because I can't see Miguel Vargas's future as a regular major league player. It's tough because he can't play third base well enough to be a 20 home run guy,
right? And
he can't hit enough home runs to be a first baseman,
right?
And that's a tough spot to be in.
And I like second division version of both. Yep.
I like Miguel Vargas. I want Vargas to figure. I hope Miguel Vargas can hit 30 home runs a year. I hope he turns those doubles into home runs, and he's a 30 home run guy, and first base is fine.
Or just be 40 doubles then. If you're only going to be 20 home runs, be 40 doubles. That's fine. That works.
I'm good with that too. I'm good with that. That's tough in our park. It's like it is.
It is.
But yeah, that's a guy where I'm like, man, that might be your best outcome, is to trade him right now.
He does follow Chorizy. He does follow the path of, well, you got his value up. Now you can flip him out of here. Because when he came from the Dodgers, like, guy can't hit in the majors. Guy's got 3 cups of coffee, hasn't hit for shit. Now you got, okay, It's like a league average contributor now. You turn him into something here. It looks like you found a couple defensive positions he can kind of handle. He's not too bad, not as bad as he was in left field. Boom, you could flip him. I don't know if they'll be that aggressive, but it's interesting to contemplate. The thing
Here's
that
the
I
downside.
learned,
You get Curtis Mead if that happens.
the thing that I learned from this version of this is my opinion. Personally, we didn't take enough chances in this group of trades. We didn't trade either of the Montgomerys, Braden or Colson. We didn't trade Kyle Teal. We didn't trade Noah Schultz. And I think you said it earlier in the show, you couldn't envision the Sox doing that. But we're supposed to ignore that, I think, a little bit on some of this stuff, because the way we've always done this is like, this is just hypothetical stuff that could happen. It could fit, whatever. And I think this year we didn't get aggressive enough with some of that stuff. We traded Lenyn Sosa 20 times. That I'm actually fine with, because he's like the most tradable guy. He's the one you're going to envision. And it made sense to work those out multiple times. We did dip deeper into the minor leagues. We traded Hagen Smith and Sam Antonacci and Opper and Tanner McDougal, and we traded a bunch of real prospects down there. We traded Miguel Vargas, like you mentioned. We traded Chase Mydrop. Like, we traded Caro a couple times, Luis, all this stuff. But I think we missed out on trading some big guys just to see what it would have looked like. I think next year when we get back to this, I'm going to be cognizant of, let's look at what these things would just look like if we traded them to turn over the roster.
I'll make two comments there. Noah Schultz, I thought was too on the low end of his value to do that.
Yep. Yeah, with the knee, he had the knee all year. It was tough. Yeah.
As much as I would enjoy it, I fucking loved when I traded them for Christian Yelich and people lost their fucking minds. That was beautiful. I love that.
I remember that. Yes.
Braden Montgomery was in a trade that I had, Beef. And then I backed it out and did the Edgar Carroll trade.
Okay.
Which was trading for Bryce Harper.
Oh,
I just saw too many things from Dombrowski. Like, as I started looking into it, where Dombrowski's like, we are not trading this guy. It's just not happening. We don't, like, people misinterpreted what I was saying, all this stuff. So I was like, man, I wish you would have left it out there, Dave. You prick. I could have had this trade that would have incensed people. But it did. There was just too much out there of like, we're not trading this guy and it's not happening. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that one.
I love it. Chorizy, thanks for sharing your thoughts on White Sox trades with every team NL version. Remember, we ain't trying to be right on the show. We're just trying to understand anything you want to plug before you go, my friend.
Yeah, I want people's money for two things. Okay. So we are going to do a Sox Fest after party this year, January 31st at Reggie's. It's going to be awesome. We will definitely have some great guests. We've already got two guys I think are pretty locked in for this, which I know are going to be electric. So go to 108.ing/party. You get your tickets there. I need everyone in the comments. Get over there. You just buy the ticket right now. You got to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let me just tell you, if you've not been to this is how this goes. You get there, doors open, a bunch of Sox fans hanging out for like an hour, 2 hours. Then we take the stage. We go like, let's call it an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours with some special guests and stuff. And then like another 2 hours hanging out and drinking with a bunch of Sox fans, including us. And so it's a great time. I implore you to buy your tickets and get out to that. Second, we are raising money along with our friends at the All Sports Scene and a bunch of other blogs and podcasts in White Sox Twitter for just the people of Chicago that need some food, that need to have a nice Thanksgiving, that can't do it on their own. Go to 108.ing/food. Give a couple bucks, man. Whatever you're going to bet on tonight's game, whatever you're going to bet on Josh Jacobs scoring 4 touchdowns in this game or whatever, that $5 give to this. Or like me and Beef did yesterday, bet that money. And if it hits, give a little bit. Give a little bit of the profits over, right? So do what you can. 108.ing/food. It's a great cause. Please contribute.
Awesome. Chorizo, see you very soon, my friend. Probably on Thursday for the 108 podcast. Take care, buddy. That was Chorizy-E again, and that concludes our Trade with Every Team blog. Next week's guest. Right now, I have nobody penciled in. We're going to probably slow down. We'll do a few more of these before the end of the year. I have an idea in my inbox from Jacob Shiner that is pretty involved. Could be interesting. There's a few people on my web that might be able to help with it and kind of like really tease out some ideas there. I have a long list of people that I want to get on here and interview, varying levels of me spending time doing homework on their whole thing to try to figure that out. So we'll run a few more of these out here before the end of the year, before we go dark kind of for the holidays. So look forward to that. Thanks to Punky's Pizza and Pasta and all the One-Way families up in the YouTube comments. Appreciate you smashing the like button, all the comments, and of course the drinks and tips. See you on Thursday for the One-Way podcast.